By vocation, she has been in the residential real estate loan office, been a real estate loan officer for 29 years, currently with locally owned and operated resource lenders. She has greatly benefited from her 8-year membership with Toastmasters International, and will share some helpful information that she gleaned from this organization that promotes good communication and speech. We have invited her to share how she overcame the fear of public speaking and the impact that it has had on her business, her ministry, and her personal life. Please welcome Sylvia Plumb.
Hi, everybody. It is so exciting to feel the energy in the room, and this truly feels like a reunion. It's fun to see a lot of familiar faces, and it's wonderful to see some new faces. And I'm going to start off right off the bat. So many times we come to the podium and we come with an apology. I'm going to challenge us not to do that. And the reason for that is that the audience, and this is a revelation that I got, the audience wants you to succeed. They're rooting for you. So please, don't start by saying, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so nervous, I didn't have time to prepare, I have to read my... Just whatever you do, even if that's true, don't apologize, okay? And it's wonderful to see so many experts here. And I'm excited to share. I couldn't wait to share with you, because don't we love to share when you hear a good song, if you watch a good movie, or if you hear a great investment or an amazing investment in a vacation destination? Well, I am so excited to share the impact that Toastmasters has had in my life, because I didn't know where else to get the information. And I just want to start by sharing some quotes. Everybody knows Jerry Seinfeld, right? And what Jerry says is that according to most studies, people's number one fear is public speaking. Number two is death. And he says, death is number two? Does that sound right? So that means the average person would rather be in the casket than doing the eulogy? I would rather be doing the eulogy. Not that I look forward to them, but I rather would be doing the eulogy. And then there's Dale Carnegie. Dale Carnegie says there's always 3 speeches for every one that you actually gave. The one you practiced, the one you gave, and the one you wish you gave. Wow. The one you wish you gave. I certainly have a regret about that, because many times at funerals or memorial service, we're given the opportunity to share about the amazing impact the decedent had in our lives. And I remember a dear friend being at his memorial service, and the pastor opened up the opportunity, and I so wanted to share. I so wanted to share, because he had come to my husband Don and I toward the end of his life, and he wanted to know about Jesus, and he accepted Jesus as Savior, and I didn't share that. And I'll always regret that. So that's one of the things that has catapulted me into getting over my own self. Now, one other quote, even Prince Harry. Prince Harry says that even being a royal doesn't make you immune from public speaking. That's interesting, right? You would think he was born ready to speak. And then there's Dale Carnegie. He recommends that we face an audience as frequently as we can, and then soon we will stop shying, because many of us shy away from speaking. And he says there are a great many wetless bathing suits worn at the seashore, but no one ever learns to swim in them. To plunge is the only way. And where can we go to do this? So several of us have attended different classes and have had different experiences. Maybe some of you have taken speech classes in college, and maybe some, I know Joan and I have, attended Florence Littauer's class, the Christian Leaders and Speakers Seminars. We learned a lot there. But there's always that nagging fear. Okay, so you've all heard, what does fear stand for? False evidence appearing real, right? It's false evidence. And that's exactly what we want to overcome. Moses was probably one of the first that expressed fear of public speaking, right? Because in the Exodus 4:10-11, he says, "Please, Lord, I've never been eloquent, neither in the past, nor since you have spoken to your servant, for I am slow of speech and tongue." And the Lord said to him, "Who gave man his mouth?" Right? "Or who can make him mute or deaf-sighted or blind, if not I, the Lord? Now go, and I will help you as you speak, and I will teach you what to say." So that's what I relied on. So Moses was also the first at something else, and this is what Mary shared with me yesterday. He was the first person to download a file from the cloud on a tablet. So that revelation of the fact that the audience wants us to succeed will keep us remembering not to apologize. So what is overcoming? I thought, okay, if we're going to talk about overcoming the fear of public speaking, what does it mean? Well, it means to succeed in dealing with a problem or a difficulty, to prevail over, get control of, get or bring under control, bridle, tame, master, deal with, conquer, defeat, vanquish, beat, solve, and triumph over. In other words, overpower. It's kind of like a sailor does when he harnesses the wind in the sails for smooth sailing, right? So that's what we're here to do and hear about. And I'm so thankful for the help that I've received to overcome that. And I often remember what Joyce Meyer says. She says, "Do it afraid." Mm-hmm. So the fear may be there, but it doesn't have to control you, because we know that that's not what God has for us. And he tells us in Isaiah, be strong, or actually in Deuteronomy, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God goes with you, and he will never leave you nor forsake you. So why did I want to overcome this fear? Well, I'm reminded of our dear Pastor Buff from Northwest Church. And he always told us to be ready to preach, pray, or die. But seriously, he often referred to 1 Peter 3:15 that says, "In your hearts revere Christ as Lord, and always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks, and give the reason for the hope that you have, and do it gently and respectfully." Well, once at Northwest, and Pastor Buff had already passed away at that time, and H. Spies, most of you probably know H, was there, and he cornered Don and I, and H knew that I was passionate about prayer. And why am I passionate about prayer? Because of the one we get to communicate with, the one that answers our prayers. That's why I'm passionate about prayer. And I knew that. And I know that God has been so faithful to listen to our prayers, so the God of the universe invites you to come confidently before him. Well, H cornered me, and he said, "So what's your testimony on prayer?" What do you think I said? Nothing. I just froze, and I don't know why I froze. So Don, my husband, had to answer for me. So I was reminded in the Amplified version of 2 Timothy 1:7, and it says, "For God did not give us a spirit of timidity or cowardice or fear, but he's given us a spirit of power, love, and a sound judgment and personal discipline, abilities that will result in a calm, well-balanced mind and self-control." So that spirit of fear did not come from him. So that's one thing that I claim, is the fact that he did not give me a spirit of fear. Okay, so let's put my life on hold for a little while, and let's go to Bloomington, Illinois. In Bloomington, Illinois, there was a gentleman who was the education director at the YMCA, the Young Men's Christian Association. And he realized and recognized very quickly that the young men that were part of the YMCA couldn't speak in front of people. They didn't know how to speak. They didn't know how to, much less to one another, but much less in front of an audience. So he decided that he would start gathering these young men and start teaching them. They had the older men teach the younger men. And then in 1924, he was transferred to Santa Ana, California, but that passion to help the younger generation know how to speak in front of an audience was still with him. And so that is where he started his first official Toastmasters Club in 1924. My New Year's resolution got me in Toastmasters, not ever knowing that this man from Bloomington, Illinois, would help a young lady that moved to California at 5 years of age, not knowing how to speak English. Porque sí, yo hablaba español solamente. I only knew how to speak Spanish. And I was one of the little girls in school that would say, I'm going to sit in my chair and I'm going to chair with my friends. So, all the more reason that I'm probably the most unlikely candidate to be a public speaker. Wow. But that's how God works, isn't it? So back to Toastmasters, the club. When you're speaking, you're taking people on a journey with you, okay? But if you're kind of like, you know, it's kind of like I learned to drive with in a 4-speed manual transmission car, and that's how I went to school. And that's kind of how it is with our ahs and ums. Some people say it because they're filling in the time, or they're thinking, or some people think it's cool, but it's very difficult for the people that are listening to you. And then you saw when Joan introduced me and I walked to the podium, she stepped back and I embraced her, and she walked behind me. That's the etiquette, the podium etiquette. The speaker comes in front of the person that is introducing, and then when I leave the podium, then it's the opposite. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that, but that's really the podium etiquette. And the other thing about the podium is we don't want to ever leave it empty. Okay, except like what we did when we were eating lunch. That's acceptable. We're going to give you time to eat your lunch. Podium can be empty. But let's say Lisa and Kathy are going to speak right after me. They want to be on deck, ready to go, because we don't want to leave it empty. And then another tip that happens a lot in public speaking is the phrase, you guys. You recognize it. You've heard it, right? Let's try not to use you guys. Unless it's really you and your buddies, and then you can use you guys, but not in a public setting. Whatever we do, we want to work heartily as unto the Lord, for it is Christ Jesus whom we serve and not man. So we want to do it with excellence. So one other thing that I wanted to mention as far as a tip is introductions. When you are asked to introduce somebody, you want to keep it short. You don't really want it longer than a minute and a half. And you want to give the speaker the star billing and not take over the show and not make it so long. I recently was asked to introduce someone, and he had a page-long introduction. And he was a wonderful man, and I couldn't wait to hear him. But that introduction was long, and I really wanted to cut it short, but yet I didn't want to dishonor him because I didn't ask him before. So wherever you're speaking, help the person out by some information that you are okay with them using for your introduction. So the other thing that I have to mention, I would have never been able to get up in front of the audience of 1,500 people at the prayer breakfast and pray if I hadn't been prepared through Toastmasters. That was such an honor. That was not a speech. That was definitely a prayer from my heart. But that being a Toastmaster gave me the courage to do it, and was so honored to do it, to give glory and honor to God and to enjoy that conversation. So I declare upon each one of you that God did not give you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. It has been so fun to be with you. I'm thrilled that I got to share with you. And I almost caught myself because I was going to say thank you so much. But Toastmasters teaches also that you don't thank the audience, they thank you. So it's been my honor.